Just a small note before we get into it, but I actually put out a little reaction video earlier today that I ended up deleting because unfortunately there seemed to be an audio issue where midway through the audio cut off and got super quiet. So I figured I'd give an abbreviated version of my overall take in this video since unfortunately the source audio ended up being unsalvageable. For those that were curious, I gave the deal a D+ for the Cubs, as I see there is limited upside for them at the price point they got him at, which is about $35 million a year for 5 years, and I'm not sure how well his skill set at the plate will play in Wrigley. On to the actual topic I want to discuss though, which is the fact that the Red Sox essentially blew up their relationship with the face of their franchise, Rafael in order to bring in Bregman to play third base, when they indeed already had the young superstar signed to a decade-plus contract to play at that position. I think this tweet from Jared Carabas on the whole thing sums it up pretty well. Tell me you didn't love the contract or the defense at third. Fine. But trading Rafael in a salary dump just to accommodate a 1-year pillow contract for Alex Bregman before he signed somewhere else will go down as one of the biggest F-ups in professional sports history. I will acknowledge that Bregman was very good for the Sox. In 114 games, he had 46 extra base hits, a 273, 360, 462 slash line, and 128 OPS+, making the All-Star game in the process. Do I think he was worth the $36 million he was paid by them this year? No, not really, but it wasn't too crazy far off. However, as Carabas pointed out, it's the sequence of events that his deal put into place that really has to be under a microscope now. Prior to trading Rafael the lefty had a career OPS+ around 130, an OPS of 855, and an average of over 30 home runs per season, all being accomplished before ever turning 30. That's why when they gave him his 11-year, $331 million extension in 2023, nobody really was all that surprised. In fact, if you take a look at what his average WAR has been throughout his career, even considering how bad his glove was, and believe me, it was essentially the worst at his position in the game, he still was putting up roughly 3.5 to 4 wins above replacement per season, which in terms of the going market value of $8 to $9 million per WAR, made this a decent deal, with the potential for it to be far more than that if he ended up shifting to a different position at some point that didn't actively detract from his value. But instead they decided to sign Bregman without communicating with their superstar about the move over last offseason. A lot of ink was spilled during the year, including some by myself, on how Rafael was seemingly being difficult by not wanting to shift positions to help the team. But with what's come out since in terms of their deficit of communication, it honestly doesn't seem nearly as egregious as that in retrospect. He just hated not being kept in the loop for what their plans were. And of course, this alienation, which was largely catalyzed by the Alex move, ended up resulting in him getting traded for what we'll call less than a king's ransom in season, then proceeding to post a decent second half of the year for the Giants. No, not as good as his first half, as he certainly had a period of acclimation, but still very good in its own right. What's more, if you take a look at his advanced numbers, there's no reason to think this dude can't continue to be one of the most consistently elite hitters in the game going forward. And when you consider the fact that he actually was perfectly fine at first base defensively after a little adjustment, his value could indeed end up far surpassing what he ever put up in Boston. Now, the Red Sox are left with no third baseman, as apparently their offer of 5 years, $165 million, fell just short of what Alex wanted, which allegedly frustrated them in the process. It seems that perhaps they took for granted that he would sign with them as part of this master plan, and now will somewhat have to scramble to pick up the pieces after a tumultuous year that saw them, at the onset of 2025, rostering 2 separate all-star third basemen, and now as 2026 gets set to get underway, currently have 0. We'll see how Craig Breslow pivots, but for now, the sequence of events will go down as one of the more bizarre and hard to understand narratives in recent MLB history.
Alright everybody, if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching, and if you did, consider checking out any of these other videos on your screen right now for other content just like this. Also, if you ever see anything you'd like to see me detail in the video, feel free to reach out to my email, basebpoet@gmail.com, and if I end up using your idea, I'll give you a shout out. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.